book I read in March gave me a lot of anxiety and triggered me with a lot of remarks. I'll tell you why. Hey guys, I'm Kaveri and welcome to my channel. I post all things crafty, crochet, macrame, knitting tutorials, sustainable crafts, some positive habits that I'm adapting in my life, and some lifestyle changes that I'm trying to make to be more eco-friendly. So I started reading 10 pages per day because reading was one habit that I wanted to build, and I realized I have hundreds of books in my house that me and my mother have collected over the years that I've hardly ever read. Now, as you know, I'm trying to make sustainable changes in my life, and me and my mom are also quite crafty. It is not very easy for us to discard things. We see potential in everything, so nothing is waste for us. Last month, I read this book, and so many statements triggered me. But I wanted to keep an open mind and I wanted to give it a read because I knew there was something good that I would get from it. And I did. Last year I read this book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo, and then I also watched her show on Netflix, and she had mentioned that she got inspired from this book. So then this year I thought I have to read this one, The Art of Discarding, and my brother got this book for me then. So quickly I'll just read the back of the book to give you an idea before I move on to telling you what I felt. This book is a compelling read because of its many vivid descriptions of the psychological snags that make people reluctant to discard things. New York Times has said this. In the beginning, there was The Art of Discarding, the life-changing book that started the tidying revolution. In this guide to living a calmer, more ordered life, author Nagisa Tatsumi, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, teaches us how letting go of unwanted things will transform our day-to-day happiness. The book offers practical advice and techniques to help readers learn to let go of stuff that is holding them back, as well as tips for acquiring less in the first place. By learning the art of discarding, you will gain space, free yourself from accumulation syndrome, and find new joy and purpose in your clutter-free life. It's time to live with less. So that's what this says. Now let's come to why it triggered me. Even though they don't completely negate the point of us being sustainable as necessary or impactful, I felt the statements were too harsh or too strict with discarding, especially right in the beginning and in the part 2 of the book. So there are 3 parts in the book, and the third part she becomes a little soft with things and gives many other options that we can choose from before just throwing things away. But my favorite section of the book was part 1, especially the way it was written. So she gives us various scenarios and paints like a picture for us, or actually a video for us, that we can completely relate with. And then she goes on to the problem it creates or the mess around it and what could have been done differently. And then she says, okay, now think like this. And then she shows a different perspective, a different path we can take, a different way to analyze the situation, a path that we could have taken to avoid accumulation in the first place, or to avoid the situation to take place at all, and a way we can relate and come up with our own solutions and conclusions when we are in similar situations, or we are creating similar scenarios around us. So I'll give you a read from inside the book, that something I liked. Once you appreciate that you don't have to keep what's unnecessary, you will be better able to use what is necessary with proper care. You don't have to think too much about it. You don't have to resolve at the outset to make do with just a few things. You don't have to tell yourself that treating things with care is good for the environment. Just take each item in turn and ask yourself, is it necessary? Can it be thrown away? This selection process will whittle away at the excess until you reach an optimum level of possession. By then, your lifestyle will already be kinder to the environment. And then she talks about this word, motainai. I don't know how it is pronounced, but I'm going to pronounce it like this for now, motainai, which is a sense of shame at wastefulness. So again, I'm going to read like a small part after that. So don't just store things away for the sake of it. if you value the idea of matainai, that is sense of shame of wastefulness, think about whether these things are necessary or not. If you can use them, then get on and do so. When they get old, use them for something else. Then when they've no further potential, dispose of them completely. This is what will allow us to develop a skillful and waste-free approach. I felt the way she's connected minimalism or a sustainable lifestyle through discarding, like going through a reverse kind of a process, like instead of just being okay, I'm gonna be minimalistic, I'm not gonna buy anything, and like just putting all those restrictions on yourself, she's starting with discarding. Okay, you have so many things, you reduce those things, what is necessary, and then it builds that habit of, once you start questioning everything you have while you're discarding things, like, did I really need this, like, could this be avoided? And then it'll make you more conscious and more aware when you're consuming also, like when you're purchasing things also, and when you're going to buy new things, you will not accumulate them in the first place. So that was something that I liked, like how she related discarding, and then she goes back to, once you start doing that, when you start building that habit of not keeping too much, discarding and all of that, more, she's described it better in the book, then it'll be much easier and much smoother for you to transition into a minimalist lifestyle, or a more sustainable, or a more conscious or aware lifestyle, I would say. So I'm going to read again like 2 lines from another page of this book. Because of the pain you've experienced discarding things, you'll begin to hesitate before buying new things too readily. I think you'll also begin to appreciate the feeling of taking care of things that are really necessary. So this is also a really good point, that whatever you have, you actually take care of it, take good care of it, and you're buying only things that are necessary, only things you know you're going to use, and that will make your life so much like better, clutter free. You won't have to spend like days and months and like living with your clutter. One major attitude or a character trait that I felt really helps with discarding after reading this book, or even minimalism, is decisiveness. Being able to take decisions right there and then. Okay, to conclude, being an avid sustainable lifestyle practitioner, I was a bit shook when she was just talking about discard this, discard that, throw this, throw that, you don't need it, blah blah blah. But later on, when I started connecting it with things, it made sense to me. And if I just take like the good points, what can be adapted, what can be taken from it, I would say it's a really nice read. Both the books, in fact, The Art of Discarding as well as Life-Changing Magic of Tidying. When she would say things and like I would get really triggered, then she would say some things like, you can be selective in what you keep, you will develop an idea of how much stuff is enough for you to live with. Then once you have rid yourself of the excess, economical and environmentally friendly lifestyle like buying the bare minimum, recycling, etc. can be useful methods of managing possessions. So she would say things like this, and then I would calm down. And then I would understand how she is relating it more with sustainable lifestyle, and things just started making sense to me then. I found Marie Kondo's book like a 2.0 version of The Art of Discarding, especially like the part 2 of this book feels like this whole book, like a better version in this whole book. But both the books are really good read, and both of them have things that we cannot adapt like completely. We cannot take in everything and we cannot do everything, but it is good to start small. Even they've mentioned that in the book. It's good to start small, it's good to start somewhere and see what all you can take, what all you can actually apply in your life, and then move forward from there. Because everyone's living conditions are different, everyone's household situations are different. You may be living alone, you may be living with your partner, you may be living with a family of 8-12 people, you may be living with a roommate. So a lot of things matter when you're making lifestyle changes, because that is also a part of your life. But certainly there are a lot of things that we can practice and implement. So I hope you guys like this review. I hope it was helpful for you all. And do give both the books a read, and even watch the Netflix series if organizing and sorting things out, cleanliness, all those things are something that you're interested in. Storage, discarding, having a minimal life, being more conscious, eco-conscious, not unnecessarily consuming and throwing away things. If all those things are your thing, then definitely do give both the books a read and the Netflix series. I will also mention them in the caption below if you are not able to understand because of my accent or something. And I will see you in my next video. Stay safe, stay happy. Bye bye.